stay focused on what's going on. Next story I want to get to is Iran. Iran's supreme leader retreats underground, warned of likelihood of U.S. airstrikes. Rob, if you want to go to this, page 9. Folks, if you're watching this, you want our stories, just go to the Connect Circle to get all the stories so you can follow with us. You'll get all the notes every single week if you want to follow the notes that we're looking at. So, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei has gone underground, reportedly hiding out in a bunker out of fear of being wiped out by the U.S. airstrikes as the USS Abraham Lincoln steams towards Persian Gulf. The 86-year-old supreme leader has moved to a fortified shelter in Tehran connected to a series of elaborate underground tunnels after senior military officials warned of the increasing likelihood of an imminent U.S. attack. Iran International reported Khamenei has left his youngest son, Masoud Khamenei, 53, in charge of running the day-to-day management of the Islamic Republic. Masoud Khamenei emergency duties include being the primary communication channel with the regime's executive branch. Iran has deemed the likelihood of the U.S. airstrikes to be high after President Trump announced that warships were headed that way. So that's one story. All of a sudden, major airlines cancel flights to the Middle East with possible of U.S. airstrikes. Then Iran, the senior Iran official says Iran will treat any attack as an all-out war, is what he announces. Rob, do you have that clip as well? Senior Iranian official stated that Iran will treat any attack as an all-out war against us on Friday ahead of the arrival of the U.S. military aircraft, strike group, and other assets in the Middle East region, which is expected to be in the coming days. This military buildup, we hope, it is not intended for real confrontation, but our military is ready for the worst-case scenario. This is why everything is on high alert in Iran, said the senior Iranian official, speaking on condition of anonymity. This time we will retreat. We will treat any attack, limited, unlimited, surgical, kinetic, whatever they call it, as an all-out war against us, and we will respond in the hardest way possible to settle this. U.S. President Trump stated that his administration was watching Iran very closely. Humberto, what do you think is going to happen here?
I think this is not a defining moment right now, and I think it's very it's good for the regime that they have an excuse to go on hiding. My guess, and I'm thinking this from the perspective, everyone's talking about the regime and they're talking about the U.S. influence, but this revolution is about the economy, all right? We saw over the last year the reports of 42% inflation, low energy production, running out of water, and those reasons by themselves, Pat, like just economical reasons, they're enough to topple a government. You know what I mean? We've seen that President Trump, he's been very careful, with his actions, very tactical with his actions in Iran. I'm not calling him bluff. I think he will act when time is ready. But them pushing the narrative that the attack is imminent, it gives them safe passage to finally get out. Because if Trump doesn't get them, eventually the people of Iran will get them. And I'm not advocating for any regime change or anything of that nature. But if you get your savings wiped out with a 48% inflation, you get half of whatever you had, you get it cut in half, you're gonna revolt. That's basically my opinion on it.
Yeah, so this Saturday we had the podcast with the two Iranians, Amir and Dr. Kangorlu. And the doctor, who's a nuclear physicist, he said something very interesting. He said, this is the first time in the history of the world. Rob, can you look this up? I don't think we did this. If you want to search, when is the last time in history that a religious revolution and an economical revolution was taking place at the same time in the same country? It happened two separate times. He was saying that Iran is the first country ever in the history to have two different types of revolutions taking place at the same time. One is economic, one is religious, meaning one, economy, it's horrible, they're not making money, they can't take care of their families. Two, they are sick and tired of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard, of what it's doing to it. Okay, and so if you watch this, the most recent one that was close to both, they're saying 79, Khamenei, but the other way around, religious and Islamic, and then the one that's happening right now. This isn't pretty what's going on in Iran today. It's not. And at any point, anything can happen. It's so unpredictable for us that when you look at this, Tom, from the standpoint, I'm curious to know what you'll say about this. If you had to have if you yourself, you have your Tom Kalshi, without looking at Kalshi, Tom's Kalshi, what's the split on whether U.S. will attack, cause some mayhem in Iran versus two, nothing happens during Trump's term?
So I think we've hit 50-50.
That something could happen?
That there will be some sort of strike against military, radar, or what they call distant defense proxies. I think we're going there. It really spooked me over the weekend because the Department of Defense around the world can use simple air traffic control messages. And so even the airlines don't know what's up, but they cancel their flights because they're told there are no longer landing clearances where you're going. Like you're going from Greece to Tel Aviv, you're going from Rome to Cairo, or whatever those are, those routes. And all of a sudden you're saying, hey, we have an ATC hold, because federal governments have the ability to get in there and put those. So you saw, remember over the weekend, all of a sudden we saw all these flights are canceled. Well, the airlines are like, why are they canceling them? They're canceling them because they are not permitted to leave or fly. And the airlines may not know the reason. There could be heavy weather and ice in Boston, and they get ATC. It says, hey, we can't release you to Boston. And then they look it up. Oh, man, they're getting ice. It must be the ice up there. I can't fly. This happened to us. So I felt like, wow, somebody has pushed the get out of the way button. And that made me nervous because it's like, okay, are we going to fly over and hit some installations? So I thought we were like 75% likely that something was going to happen over the weekend, Pat. Not in the city center, not to the palace, but hit a bunch of military installations and fly home and then call back and say, do I have your attention? That's kind of what I thought. So my Kalshi is I'm 50-50 on we execute a strike before the end of the year. And I'm more than 50-50 that like September to Christmas, there's an actual leadership change. Because I don't think they can keep a lid on this with the people, what they're going through. I believe the Iranian people know that there is just one shot here. And this is the first shot in 47 years. And it may be that they have to pull back a little bit to go forward. But this is their only shot.
I think it's more. I think it's way more than 50%. I think with all the signs are showing that they need the help, and Trump wants to help. I think he's biding his time. Every time we think he's going to do something, he waits, and then a week later we're like, oh my God, now this is the time. Because at the end of the day, Humberto, I think my personal opinion is once everything was ready to go, once they met with Reza Pahlavi and everything, and he realized. Remember when what did Trump say? Yeah, he's not the guy for the job or
but
something.
He's a nice guy.
No, yeah, he's a nice guy. Pat called him a sweet guy, which he is. But when you don't listen to me, if you're gonna go and help Humberto, and you're gonna go really, really try to help these people, you know what I mean? Because they're freaking dying by the thousands. If they don't have somebody that's going to lead them, what's gonna happen? What do you do?
That's the thing. Like the Trump administration, the guys they have there, they're incredibly smart. Like, for example, when they took out Maduro and they kept half of the regime in Venezuela.
Yes.
It was for a reason, it was so they know how healthcare works, how to give pensions out, how the oil industry works. You know what I mean? He's very measured, and there's some tremendous guys in there, and they're trying to find a solution. This is not a straight solution. You're going to have to keep some of the regime in there.
Of course, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you can't just like bomb it flat.
No,
so,
yeah, but I don't think they're going to bomb it flat.
And I don't think they can take any more pressure. Like, it breaks my heart to hear all this beautiful Iranian people protesting that they're getting killed. So, like, I think we need to pull down the pressure. They need to find a solution and strike whatever it is. If it's military, if it's sanctions. But I think they're going to put a plan in place.
But here's my question, though, Tom.
Haven't we kind of done... I agree with you to a point, Humberto, but haven't we done sanctions? I mean, unpack what you're saying. We've been sanctioning them quite a bit. Right now, was it Russia and Iran can't get oil into Europe, basically? Less than 2% of the oil coming into Europe is Russia or Iran contraband being smuggled in. So we've had these big sanctions. What now?
They're slowly working, Tom. Like, for the economy to go in the gutter, like, sanctions were a big part of it. Like, it's not as fast as striking with missiles, but they do work in the long run. You know what I mean?
But how long are these? How many more? Let's say it's at 20. I'm going to go low-ish. 20,000 civilians are dead in the street because they on their own said enough is enough. How long are we going to leave? Because This happened the last time. They're up, they're fighting, and the voice, and then it just dies out. And then everybody forgets about Iran and then goes on to something else. Now they're really going for it. They're really like, hey, we're out here. We need some support. And nothing. You don't have a leader. You don't have anybody that's going to stand up. Guys, one person that's going to say, I'm going to do it. Yes, everybody's here in Washington. I'm going to go there. I'm going to sacrifice because they need somebody, bro.
Mr. President, Trump. 3 weeks ago, you said you had our back.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. We went for it. Now, where are you guys at? That's like he was talking about earlier. You go in there, you start the fight, like, yeah, we're good. And you turn around and your backup isn't there. It's like, bro, and they're not backing down. Those people are still getting killed. And what, those 12 to 15,000 that are captured, what do you think the IRGC is doing to them in the jails if they're still alive?
Killing
you think they're all dead?
Torturing,
they're all dead. God rest their souls. They need the help. I think Trump is strategic. It's gonna happen. But me personally, I know what everybody's gonna say. Oh, we're war. They need help. It has to be sooner than later.
Some kind of help.
Something.
We don't know what kind of help. You know what I mean?
It needs to be something, bro. How many more people are gonna die?
There needs to be something.
What do you think, Pat?
You know, I'm going back to thinking about what the difference is between Khomeini coming back in and Reza Pahlavi. Is if I'm U.S., what am I thinking about? What is the DNA of Venezuela versus Iran? So imagine you're the president. Okay, you didn't study Iran history, you didn't study Venezuelan history. You studied the streets of New York, negotiation, tough games, manipulation, all that stuff. Yeah. Roy Cohen, the University of Roy Cohen, right? Never give up, never surrender, never this, never that, always blame, always take every victory, whatever happens, yes. Okay, so here's the question. I'm getting briefing. Now I'm sitting there with my 7 guys that are in front of me, and gals, whoever the people are. And I ask, what's the difference between the people in Venezuela and the people in Iran? So if we topple the regime in Venezuela versus Iran, what is the difference? Is the military in Venezuela 100% Maduro? Is the military in Iran 100% IRGC? What is the difference? Whose support does Edmundo Gonzalez have? Whose support does Maria Corina Machado have? What's the point? The point is, if we know a portion of the Venezuelan military is going to side with a new leader, we have something to work on. Right? We have something that we can help. If we look at Iran, when Khomeini first came in, there was some military guys under the Shah that flipped and went towards him on the Air Force. There were some that supported him. If Reza Pahlavi has some of the guys on the military that are, flipping and wanting to support, that needs to be public. Because me as the president, let's just say all of a sudden 30,000 military soldiers came out in the street saying, I was a former this, I am now pro-Reza Pahlavi. You think Trump would have an easier decision to make? Yes. That's the question. If you don't have the military, what happens? You go in, what's going to happen? Day one, they're going to listen to you for what?
No.
In a democracy, you're going to go in and a regime that's been telling people what to do, you better listen to me or else, you're going to get killed. Is Reza Pahlavi going to go out there? You know how many people Khomeini killed right afterwards when he went in? Thousands. And I'm talking military personnel he killed. If you're not on my side, take him out. Take him out. He's ready. Take him out. Take him out. Take him out. Take him out. Then all the other military service members are like, whoa, we better get in line or else they're going to kill us. Does he have that? How do you do it? And these are more the extremists. So how do you flip an extremist regime versus the old one? Humberto.
What? That's the or else. That's the difference. And
there is no or else today.
There is nowhere else. And the other thing is and when we had Curtis Yarvis come in, he said something that really struck a nerve with me. He was like, does the regime believe on itself? All right. If you look at the Venezuela regime, they haven't done anything revolutionary in the past 25 years. They're just keeping the status quo, trying to deal with the economy. Like they're not expanding the communist revolution in South America as they claimed. Now, if you see the Iranian regime, they're about that life path. They're sending troops to Venezuela. They're, sending money to all these terrorist organizations. Like, there's some true believers inside of the IRGC. There wasn't that many true believers, unbelievers plan in Venezuela. And once the regime stops believing in themselves, I think you have a real chance of fighting. Because even if you beat them militarily, you're going to get an insurrection movement. They're going to go in hiding. They're going to go somewhere else. And then you're going to get a terrorist element inside of Iran. which is much better than them ruling the country, but it's a reality we have to live with, you know?
Tom.
We've seen this, a case study, and the case study was the Philippines. Ferdinand Marcos and his crazy wife, literally insane, categorically insane wife, Imelda, finally are getting on the edge of being forced out by the people, and the tensions are high, and the revolution is forming. And Benito Aquino said, I need to go home, and I need to be the man for the Philippine people. American Chuck Colson, who worked with Nixon, begged him not to do it. He said, I don't think it's wise. They're not fully ready to upset you, and you need the military. When the plane landed, Marcos's henchmen, dressed as airline employees, came to the door of the plane and blew his head off as he was stepping off the plane into the Philippines. It would trigger the revolution, and his wife, Corazon Aquino, and the Laban movement was formed. But this is exactly what regime change you're talking about. You have to have the military under you. You have to know who is breaking ranks, as they will, to have you there. So we've seen it. We saw it in the Philippines. Ultimately, the death of Benito triggered the whole revolution, and the Marcoses fled to Hawaii with the help of the American CIA. True story. And suddenly, the Philippines were led under Laban. But this is exactly what we see here. Before somebody can step forward, you're right, Pat, you got to know what support do you have and what do you not have before you walk into that.
If you're part of Reza Pahlavi's camp, the first thing you have to do is find a way to get to the military folks and see if you can flip them one by one by one. If you get more, there's volume, and they're saying they have to keep it private. They can't make it public. There's already plenty of people. There may be quite a few people that have signed up, but they need to show that to the guy who you need. If you don't need the White House, if you don't need the U.S., go do it on your own. But you need America to do it. You need somebody else to do it. If you didn't need anybody else, you would have already done it. You would have already done it in the last 48 years. So his team is probably going to want to see what type of pull-in, control, and influence do you have in Iran, and then what the plan is afterwards. It's not going to be as pretty as everybody thinks it is. America's turning 250 this year. And by the way, we're doing something special on the 250th, 4th of July. Stay tuned. I'll announce it to you when it's ready to announce. It's going to be wild. But we're going to do a handful of special pieces of merch, limited edition, numbered. Okay? This one's going to be out of 250 with the number 250. So it's numbered out of 250 for the 250-year celebration of U.S. It will not last long. Rob, play this clip. Future looks bright. We're excited about this year with all the chaos that's happening. When we break down to you what is really going on or makes sense to you. But having said that, Rob, go ahead and play this clip.
We don't just make products. We carry a legacy built on American craftsmanship, intention, and pride. 250 years of history, refined for today. Every detail tells a story. Every piece stands for who we are. This is tradition, reimagined. This is our 250 years limited edition collection. The future looks bright at 250.
Guys, this is all I'll tell you. Good luck if you sat on this one. If you wait, and by the way, for some of you guys that unfortunately will watch this afternoon because you wait for the clips, you can find the items that people buy on eBay. That'll be the only place you'll be able to get it. The hat will not last a long time. Again, it's limited merch, so it's numbered out of 250. If you go to eBay afterwards, you may find it because these things are not going to last but 30 minutes. They'll be gone in no time. Every time we do limited merch, the hat comes in a box that says Future Looks Bright and the logo, VT, right on there. So go to VTmerch.com, place your order. Go to VTmerch.com, Rob. If you could just go to the website. If you go to VTmerch.com on the cover, you'll see the 250. Get the sweater because it's cold. Get the shirt and get the hat. And if not for you, buy it for somebody else as well.
Having said that, the shield, that shield is just amazing.
It is amazing. It is amazing. It's sick. If you enjoyed this video, you want to watch more videos like this, click here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click here.